Hi angels, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am trying to become the perfect student for a week and showing you all the things I did, because this is a recent trend where people are talking about how to make yourself that student, the perfect student, get straight A's, and I'm just testing out all these theories. So make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss another one of my videos and you'll instantly be part of the angels team. So let's just get straight on into today's video. So the first common theme is waking up early. I already do that. I wake up at 5:40 every morning during the week and get ready for school and get on the grind. Another thing that they do is it's all about organization, all about time management skills, and I do think you need those things when you are trying to be a perfect student. I think perfect is just not the good word. I think discipline is the word I would personally use, because there is no such thing as perfect student. Like, we all fall off the wagon sometimes. Like, you gain motivation, you lose motivation. I don't think necessarily you need to be the perfect student, but if you are trying to get good grades, that doesn't mean you have to get A's, you know? I do think you need some type of organization system. I like to use X-Styles. I used to use Notion, but X-Styles for me personally is better. I did a whole video. I will link it in the and I always link it in the description box below. But it is essentially Notion, which most people have heard about, but easier. And I have a whole school tab for it. And I just list out all of my assignments, when they're due, and how I'm doing them, progress-wise. I also have like my week priorities listed out. It's blank because it's going to be a new week, so I have to replan everything. But this personally works for me. Whatever works for you is what you need to figure that out. I like X-Styles because you can make different databases and things based off of what works for you. Again, becoming a good student is knowing what works for you. If you are not a morning person, like personally me, like I am, then don't do that. Study late at night. Study early in the morning, depending on who you are as a person. Another thing that a perfect student, quote unquote, the trend has come out to be is not only like time management skills, but also having a study plan. And I feel like a lot of people always think that you need to study a lot to make good grades. That's incorrect. I think you need to study whenever is convenient for you. You need to come up with a plan. I feel like you should be studying at least twice a week. Have those times and those sectioned out times in your everyday life. I personally don't even study every day because I have work. I have I'll go from class to work. Sometimes I'll have like volunteer stuff I need to do. Like, just studying every day is going to cause burnout, number one, but it's not realistic. So for me personally, I have a physical to-do list, and I also have all my assignments on X-Styles. The physical to-do list helps me plan out my everyday life and all of the study planning that I want to do. So I plan everything out on there based off of like if I have to work, when I want to study, things like that. Another thing that's really helpful when it comes to studying that I feel like a lot of people don't take advantage of is if you have a lot of classes throughout the day and you have like a huge chunk of time, those huge chunks of times you should be working on work. Like, you could put a podcast, you can put, as you can see, I'm watching a show, but not really, I put it in the background. You can have things in the background work like while you're doing all that stuff if you're good at multitasking, but you need to take advantage of those breaks, like hour-long breaks between classes, because that's when you're going to get more done, and then you have more free time and you don't feel like you're always going to be studying, always going to be doing work. It's just stressful. School in general is stressful. So I think becoming the perfect student, becoming a disciplined student who does their work on time, turns everything in, gets good grades. It also has to do with how you take notes. And I've done multiple videos. I might have to do an updated version one soon of how I take notes. Taking notes is, first off, you need to rephrase what is said in the lectures so that you are learning based off of what they're saying. So when you rephrase it, your brain is reprocessing what is given. It's not just copy it down for word. So definitely rephrase it when you're in class. And then after class, you should go back over them and revise them, look over them, make flashcards. Love flashcards. I am an avid flashcard user. But those types of things are personally what's going to help you just maintain those good grades and honestly understand what you're learning. I think what I've learned over the years is sometimes your grades don't reflect the work you put into it. If you're putting a lot of work into it and you're working hard and you're getting good grades, it's just like an overall like good thing. There are some people that have good grades that don't even work hard for them. Like they just kind of do whatever. But being the perfect disciplined student means that you understand what you're learning. It's going to be knowledge that you will eventually hopefully use in the future. I think another thing that I liked about these videos that I've watched is they like to romanticize studying. I think that's something that is a newer trend, but it's also a good one. I like romanticizing literally everything. I will always turn on a candle. I'll always have some type of drink. I'll have music in the background. I need that ambiance to motivate me to study, to work hard. I think that's one of those things that should be more talked about, is romanticizing studying, because studying, just getting to study, is the hard part. Once you're there, it'll be a piece of cake. So I personally like to reward myself. I think that's another thing that you should do, is if you study, let's say for an hour, reward yourself and say, I'm gonna, I don't know, go eat something that I've been wanting to eat, or do something else, or watch a show. Like small things that motivate you to study, because that's the one thing that needs to be more talked about. Is motivation comes and goes, but the discipline of you knowing that you have to study, you have to do your schoolwork, that's how you're going to get those straight A's. One of the major tips that helps me is whenever I get an assignment, I try to do it the day that they assign it, because then I will never forget about doing it. It won't be turned in late, and at least I got it out of the way. And the information that you're given during lecture is still present in your mind. It's still there. So you definitely I think those are one of the tips that I would recommend the most, is just making sure that you do your assignments the day of. If you don't have the time to do it the day of, try to do it the day after. I know procrastination is a really, really big thing. That's a whole nother conversation, a whole nother video that we could have. But when it comes to doing your assignments, I think the sooner is the better, because you'll remember all the information you need for that assignment. And if it's one that's like multiple chunks, like a project, you need to get on it as fast as possible. I'm not saying that you need to do it like all in one day. You can chunk it out so that every day you're doing a little part. Like I have a book review report that I have to do, and it's going to take a while for me to read the book and then take notes over it, and then from there write a book report. Those are things that I have to plan out every single day, read a little bit, take notes over it, and then start drafting the book report so that I can eventually turn it in on time, and it's the best that it could possibly be. So personally, when it comes to things like that, it's not necessarily you being a perfect student, it's just the discipline of you knowing that you have to do the schoolwork. Another thing that I saw was them just talking about like ways of studying, and I think that it's just super personal. You have to find what works for you. I think I say that in most of my videos, that everything is super personal, but it's true. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, if you're not a morning person, what are you going to be doing up at 6 a.m. studying? You're not going to get anything done, because you're just going to be worried about you being tired. But if you're not a night person, what are you doing at midnight trying to study? That's also not going to work out. So those are kind of sort of things that you should think about before making your study plan. Okay, so if you didn't notice, throughout this video, I actually did not study every single day. It was multiple, like, different days over the span of different days in the week. I didn't study consecutively because, again, I feel like that just causes a lot of burnout. And I think when it comes to studying, it's like 1 hour, maybe a day, that you work on your schoolwork. You also have to think about how much you have to put into your classes, because some classes are harder than others. So if you have a super easy class, I always recommend leaving that for last, and then your super hard classes should be first, so that you just knock them out, get them out of the way. But overall, when it comes to becoming the perfect student, quote unquote, I think you just have to figure out how you're going to motivate yourself to, first off, just study. What are you going to do to romanticize the studying approach or your studying plan? And also, what are you going to do to organize all these notes, all this studying plan? those are all things that are going to contribute to you being a good student. And that's what I personally learned this week. Studying a little bit every day really helps. I got some of my B's up to A's this week because I was just focusing more on certain subjects, like subjects that I knew were harder for me than the easier ones. And that's how I got my grades up this week. So I'm super thankful that I did this, and I hope you guys learned a little something. Make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss another one of my videos, and stay tuned until next Sunday's video, because I promise you guys it will be an amazing one. Bye guys.